I'm your host, Tooker Gomberg, and we're live. You're listening and watching TOTV live.
Peace, everyone. My name is Rick Reimer, and I'm a medical marijuana exemptee. I was one of the first 20 or 30 people in Canada that got an exemption from Health Canada to grow and to smoke marijuana. And I got my exemption in March of 2000. Now, here it is, August of 2003, and they're trying to take my exemption away from me because my doctor will no longer endorse my marijuana use because he's being intimidated by big business, including his insurance company. So I'm just growing as much pot here as what is reasonable. That gives me a reasonable prospect of garnering enough pot to keep me smoking for the next year. Ironically, last year I started out with more plants than this, and I'm just now running out of my supply. So these are better plants, so I'm hoping, touch wood, touch hemp, that these will give me enough for next year.
Tell me about your exemption.
Well, I have multiple sclerosis, and I was diagnosed in November of 1998. And because I was a lawyer, I knew about this federal scheme for a marijuana exemption, whereas many people wouldn't have known about it if they hadn't have looked at the law about it. So I applied for one right in November of 1998, and the reason that I got one and now I'm disentitled to one is because I got one at the beginning simply because they were in a panic. The government had no idea who do we give these to, what criteria should we use. They had no idea, so some guy with a fax machine and a secretary that kept faxing my letter every day, and a lawyer looked respectable, had multiple sclerosis, so that's why I got it.
Tell me about some of the legal battles you've had. I know you're arrested for smoking pot while you were driving.
I was driving not far from here, and we have a fairly aggressive police detachment in the Killaloe OPP. And I was driving along, driving perfectly fine, obeying all the laws. I knew there was a cop behind me the whole way, and I was smoking a joint as I was driving, as I almost always do. I haven't driven without smoking a joint, say every half hour or so in years, and it has no impact whatsoever on my driving. Now, that's only because of my particular tolerance to it, and I agree that some people don't have confidence in that kind of tolerance, but in my estimation, the way to look at it is this. How many people in your personal or professional life have you known that have come to calamitous results because of alcohol in driving? Now, go through that same exercise but isolate it to cannabis in driving, and you'll come up with an answer that's probably around 0. And the simple reason is that cannabis doesn't impair driving abilities the same way that alcohol does. And when cannabis does get someone too stoned to drive and you say to them, "You're driving," you know what they say? "No way, I'm not driving." So anyways, I was charged with impaired driving by this cop who thought that he knew that cannabis must impair my abilities, and I was vindicated. I was found not guilty, ultimately.
Now, the laws now in Canada are changing, or seem to be in flux. Where do you see them going? What's your hope and expectation?
Well, the irony is that if you were to hire the top-notch Bay Street lawyer in Toronto today and ask him point blank, is it legal for me to smoke a joint in Toronto now or not? Their answer would be, "Gee, I'm not sure." And if you were to ask the best judge in Ontario right now that same question, their answer would be, "Well, it's not quite clear." And yet they somehow expect the common person to know better than the best legal minds in the province. It's so silly. The law is in a complete state of flux now, but where I see it going is that ultimately by a combination of the Ontario Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court of Canada, that it will be ultimately determined that right now what I am doing would be legal even if I didn't have a medical exemption.
Meaning, is that what they call legalization?
Well, it's even better than that. It's what I call decriminalization, in the sense that I don't, when they talk about, for example, Cochon's new proposed bill where you get a fine rather than the prospect of a jail term for possession, I don't call that real decriminalization because it's still an offense. You're just changing the penalty. What I mean by decriminalization is that we no more need a law about this plant than we need a law about this plant here. And I can grow some in my yard and I can pull it up when I want and I can use it for what I want.
And they're both grass.
True. True.
Great. So you've got a little grove here that is requiring some care and attention, right?
Well, and protection, probably most importantly protection, because these plants are so resilient. I mean, I don't know anything about gardening. I don't have a green thumb at all. But marijuana is such a resilient plant that if you grow it outdoors and you give it half a chance, look what it does.
It's a weed, after all.
After all, exactly. But what it needs is protection, because I'm 100 meters from a public road here, and people see it and they come in and they try to steal from me. Last year I was stolen from about 8 times, and that's why there's a tent right behind you, and somebody has to sleep every night out in that tent until this is all harvested to protect it.
So people come by and try to steal it?
Yes, and last year I actually had to chase what looked from behind to be about a 16-year-old boy out of the garden with a baseball bat in my hand. And I'm so glad that I didn't get close enough to him that I actually had to make the choice. Will I hit this kid in the head with a bat because he's stealing marijuana from me, or will I not? And the only reason I even had to cross that Rubicon is because of this bogus, stupid prohibition. If that kid were free to grow marijuana the way that I mean, I'm not free to, but I have the temerity to do it. If that kid were free to do it, then he wouldn't have to bother about stealing from me, and I wouldn't have to bother about do I hit him in the head or not.
So the authorities haven't bothered you about growing this pot?
No.
Even though they say you're allowed to grow.
Well, they say that I'm allowed. It varies between, one person will tell you 7, one person tells you 25, but it's somewhere in there. But it's far less than what I have growing here, and I've written to them, and I've told them I've got way over my limit here. And you know what they do at Health Canada? They go, la, 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 we don't want to hear about that, la, la, la. These are your tax dollars at work.
Well, that's good. They're letting it go.
But,
Nothing wrong with that.
but you're paying that person to not enforce a law that you've paid to have enacted. You know, I mean, you know, it's good in a very, very limited sense until you realize that we're all paying for this stupid law that we don't even need.
So this may be foreshadowing of what's to come in Canada, people growing their own marijuana crops in their backyards.
I hope so, because my motto is overgrow the government.
Anything else you want to add, Rick?
Yes, I want to add this. This plant was living here long before my great-great-great-grandfather got up on his hind legs and started walking around. And after my great-great-grandchild blows us all off the face of this plant is still going to be here. And anyone that thinks in the meantime they're going to write a law and get rid of it is stupid.
And that's coming from a lawyer.
With all due respect, Your Honor.
Yay, Rick.
Yeah, thanks, Rick.
Hey, cool, thank you.
Awesome.
Cool. Nice to have people like you going around documenting stuff like this.
Well, it's historic.
Yeah, man, cool. Thank you.
Wow.
I'm Tooker Gomberg, and you're tuned to TOTV. The whole world is watching and listening, almost.